All right, so before I start talking about what I'm here to talk about, I want you all to close your eyes. Just give me 1 minute, everybody in this hall, not just the audience, the teachers at the back, the students backstage, every single person in this hall, just close your eyes for 1 minute. Now imagine, you're 80 years old, sitting at your front porch, thinking, reflecting on the beautiful life you've had. And someone comes up to you and asks you a question. What's your biggest regret? Think about it for a few seconds, and when you have your answer, you can open your eyes. All right, I see some eyes open now. So most of the regrets you would have probably thought of wouldn't be on the lines of that I regret trying or I regret taking this opportunity. Most regrets begin with the same two words. I wish. I wish I had taken that opportunity. I wish I had pursued my dreams. I wish I hadn't waited. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. Not success, not failure, but waiting. Because I believe the most dangerous sentence in the English language isn't that I can't. It is, I'll do it later. Now this brings me to my next thought. There was this one question that we always asked when we were children. Why? Why do I have to go to school? Why do I have to do homework? Why? Nobody taught us to be curious at that age. It was instinctive. And that instinct, that courage to question, is exactly what makes young people such powerful change makers. But obviously, somewhere along the way, society starts rewarding fitting in more than standing out. And that's where we lose our spark, that courage to question, and we stop asking why. But take a look at the people that actually changed the world. Martin Luther King Jr. saw a world filled with racial discrimination and asked the question, why is this like this? Why can't the system change? Madame Curie entered a scientific world where women rarely got opportunities and became the first female Nobel Prize winner. The Wright brothers asked a question so ridiculous that nobody had ever thought of it at that time. Why can't humans fly? And we all know the result. And finally, last but not the least, Malala Yousafzai, a teenager, a child. She looked at the world telling girls that you don't deserve an education, and she asked, why not? Now this moves on to a question I have for all of you. Do we all know what procrastination is? Procrastination, in my words, is just delaying anything, as small as studying for an exam or exercising, just delaying. Can I see a raise of hands for some people who've ever procrastinated in their life, have ever delayed anything? Great, so we all acknowledge that we do this, right? Maybe it's studying, anything, right? So the funny thing about this is that nobody plans to waste their potential. We simply postpone it one tomorrow at a time. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month becomes next year, and eventually it becomes never. Now, something the older generation tells us, the younger generation, is that you are the future. You're the future of this country, you're the future of this world, you are the future. It sounds so inspiring, right? But I disagree. We're not just the future, we're already shaping the present. Look around you. Artificial intelligence is redefining industries. Students are launching startups from their bedrooms. And young researchers are doing meaningful work on real-life problems. But most importantly, teenagers are leading movements. Ideas that once took years to travel now travel across the world in mere minutes. This right here is not preparation for the future. This is participation in the present. This is leadership. Because if the world is changing this quickly, it's not waiting for us. It's being built by us. And another myth I want to bust while I'm at it is that people say being young is a disadvantage. They say, you're too young. You need more experience. You have so much time left. Do it when you're older now. But what if being young isn't our disadvantage? What if it's our greatest advantage? When you're young, you're closer to curiosity. When you're young, you're closer to creativity. When you're young, you're less attached to the fact that this is how things have always been done. But most importantly, when you're young, you're allowed to experiment. When you're young, you're allowed to make mistakes because failure costs you less now than it ever will. So why are we so afraid to begin? Why haven't we already begun? My guess is that we're all waiting for that imaginary permission that never arrives. Now, something a little more personal. Let's talk about leadership and fear. I thought being a great leader meant doing everything right and knowing everything, but I couldn't have been more wrong. Because people aren't looking for a leader that's perfect. People are looking for a leader that's willing to begin, a leader that's willing to take initiative. And whenever there was a leadership opportunity or any role that I applied for, there was this one feeling, a feeling of fear. I was afraid of failure, not because I thought it would define me as a person, because I wanted to live up to the expectations that people had of me, and more importantly, the expectations I had of myself. Every opportunity came with a doubt. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I realize that I'm not built for this? Those thoughts never completely disappeared. But I did realize and observe something along the way. That every opportunity that has shaped me, every leadership role, every experience that has helped me grow, every task, every challenge, it all began with the same feeling: uncertainty. Because I wasn't confident before I started, I became confident because I started. And that changed the way I see fear completely. Because fear is not something that always tells you that you're going in the wrong direction. Fear is also something that can tell you that maybe you're just standing at the edge of growth. And this edge, for most young people, is where real change begins. Because we're always looking for that perfect moment, the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, the perfect idea. But perfect never arrives. And this goes perfectly hand in hand with a saying that I admire a lot. It goes like this: the best time to jump isn't when you're not afraid anymore. The best time to jump is when you're afraid the most. Because that's the moment that's standing between the current you and a renewed version of yourself with a new sense of courage and purpose. Now, we're talking about the youth. We're talking about the future. There's a topic here that's inevitable to talk about, and it's technology. Technology is growing at such a rapid pace that we aren't able to keep up with it. It's given so much capability to us, but we don't know how to use that capability. Because AI can generate answers. AI can help us make our lives easier, but artificial intelligence cannot replace curiosity. It cannot replace the feeling of asking a good question. Because the future won't belong to the people with the fastest and the flashiest and the smartest tools. It will belong to the people that are asking the best question. And that's where the youth shines, because we're willing to ask those questions. Now, I have a little bit of a homework for you. I know nobody likes to do homework, but this is good. When you go back home, find a peaceful corner and ask yourself a question you've been avoiding. It could be on the lines of, why have I not started this? Why have I not pursued this opportunity? Why am I not pursuing my interest? Or maybe it's bigger. Why haven't I already been part of the change that is happening? It's your question, find it, but don't ignore it. And even if you don't find an answer to the question, it's all right. But just thinking about that question will lead to much more. And one of these honest questions can completely change the way you look at life. Now, I'll leave you with this. The world doesn't change because someone has all the answers. The world changes because someone is willing to ask a better question. So find a question worth chasing and don't put it off by saying later. Because the world is being built right now by this generation. So ask why not me, and finally ask the question that changes it all. Why not today? Thank you so much. That's my time.